All right, good morning, fam. We are just on the phone this morning because the camera is inside the trailer and I don't want to get up from my comfy chair here to go get it. But we are taking a super lazy morning. I'm letting the solar panels recharge some stuff. I've got my portable panel out over here charging the battery bank in the car and just relaxing because, like I said, I'm not in a huge hurry on this trip, so I'm probably only going to drive 6, maybe 7 hours total every day instead of the 9, 10, 11 hours that I normally would do on a trip like this. So yeah, just taking a relaxing morning, and the birds are chirping. I've heard a few squirrels. There's a little stream over there that you guys saw, and very occasionally a car comes down the highway. But otherwise, it's a really nice morning. So I'm just kind of taking a chill morning and enjoying sitting outside. So far, there's no mosquitoes this morning, but as soon as they start finding me, I think will be the time when I decide I need to get out of here. Yeah, you can see I got that's a 180 watt panel, and I just have it plugged into the power bank in the car to let it get some charge from running the Starlink and my portable fridge all night before I get started on the road. That battery bank gets down to about 60% overnight running the there goes a camper van. But the anchor gets down to about 60% ish overnight running the Starlink and the little DC 12 volt chest fridge. So rather than let it get much lower, it was really easy for me to dig this 200 watt panel out. It's stored in the trailer next to the bed. And so I just got that out and have it plugged in right now, and it's putting in about 150 watts, which is pretty good considering the sun is still kind of low in the sky. So we'll let that charge up for a while I'm relaxing, watching the cars go by, listening to the birds. Here comes a motorhome. So yeah, this spot's right next to the highway, as you can see, but it's still was a pretty good night's sleep. It got down into the upper 40s last night, so a little chilly. My big battery bank in the trailer got down to 82% overnight. That's running the refrigerator, charging a couple of small things, and then running the furnace all night. So that's pretty good, and it's already picking up like 350 watts from the solar panels on the roof. So yeah, just gonna relax here until I decide I'm done relaxing, and then we'll get moving. He's up on my trailer now. Woo! He landed on my knee for a minute. Doesn't seem like he's attacking. I don't know if you guys will be able to see him, but he's on a tree back there somewhere. Keeps flying around. Came at me once, and it didn't try and land on me. That time he tried to land on my knee, but just bounced off and went back up onto my truck or trailer, and now he flew back that way. Silly bird. Just got done picking up a bag full of litter with my grabby thing. So, I'm trying to decide how much longer I want to hang out here. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure how far I'm going to want to drive today. At least to Watson Lake, I think. Maybe just shy of it. So, I think it might be time to start packing up to get ready to head out on the highway. This guy right there, I think, is confused about my truck. He flew over there, but he kept bouncing back and forth between the roof rack and the open shell window, and then he tried to eat some of the bugs off the front of the trailer, and then he tried to land on the top of the trailer and almost slipped off. And then he perched on the weight distribution bars for a while, and then he was just hopping all over the ground until he flew over there with his friend. That's how my morning has been. I think part of the reason I'm still just chilling here is I'm enjoying the nice weather and the sunshine. It's a little hot, actually. I might go put on some shorts, but it's only supposed to get rainy and grumpy and colder from here until Alaska. So kind of enjoying the sunshine and the 70-degree weather here next to the Tetsa River Campground Provincial Park. So I might be getting sunburned. Didn't think about that. All right, guys, we're all packed up, still on the iPhone. But you can see the weather's starting to come in. It's got cloudy and a whole lot cooler all of a sudden because the sun went behind some clouds. So I think it's a good time to get headed down the road. Alright guys, just stopped in at Tetsa River Lodge to have a cinnamon bun, and boy was it good. Also picked up some homemade pepperoni sticks. We'll try those out later. But guy was super nice, super friendly. I chatted with him for a bit, as well as a couple of the other customers that were in there. So yeah, now we're on the road, heading north. Next stop is going to be at Toad River for some fuel, hopefully, if they have it. Yeah, that's the plan. We are into the burn scar now from the fire that I think I mentioned yesterday that almost burned down the Tetsa River Lodge there. At least they were worried about it. Got within a mile of the lodge. I talked about this fire in my video last year, so if you want to go back and check it out, got more information about the fire in that video. Yeah, see the burn scar go up and over the hill there. So we're gonna be following this for a while. Stopped to get out, walk around for a bit, get some Advil out of the trailer for my wrist that's been bothering me for the last couple weeks. And it got chilly. It was hot earlier with the sun out while I was chilling at the spot where I camped, but now the wind's blowing, sun's behind the clouds, and Probably dropped 15 degrees in temperature. Just like that, we're out of the burned area. It's only a couple of miles through that section. We're still paralleling the North Tetsa River there on the left that we passed on the bridge. This is the gorgeous, slow, fun part of the highway from Tetsa basically all the way through to on the other side of Muncho and even on towards Watson Lake, really. Right here we're going to be entering Stone Mountain Provincial Park. So we'll have Stone Mountain and then Muncho Lake as the two provincial parks, so you can't free camp in these areas. You have to camp in established campgrounds through here. This is Summit Lake. This is the highest point on the Alaska Highway, going through this area. This is generally what you think of, I think, when you imagine the Alaska Highway. It's just a narrow, windy road through the mountains. And it is, for some of it. Some of it is definitely not like this, but some of it is. Oh, there used to be an old roadhouse right here, but it burned down recently under suspicious circumstances, from what I understand. Here's Summit Lake Campground. I'm actually going to pull in here for a sec if it's open. It's open. I've never been in there, so I'm going to pull off to the side over here and go wander into the campground, because I've never actually stopped there before. Let's go see. Alright, wandered around the campground. It's just on the other side of that berm. There's a half of it here and then a half of it over there on the other side of the outhouse building. Looks like a nice little campground. Sites are pretty close together. They look fairly level, but I'd say only about half of them could you get a rig the size of mine into. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't come up here last night, because it would have been a real bummer if I couldn't have parked anywhere. You can't park in this parking area where I'm at. There's a big sign that says no overnight parking, because in the provincial parks you can only camp in the campgrounds. So that would have been a super bummer, but it's got a great little view. Still some snow up there in the mountains. That's Summit Lake, which I took some photos of and stuck my hand in, and it's really cold. All right, got about 40 minutes to Toad River from here. Didn't get a video, but I saw 2 sheep up a little side road. I just happened to glance up and saw them there. So there are some sheep out and about, booting a boot. If there are any more poking around as we drive through here. Saw 1 male and 1 female at least. Just keep the camera rolling as we go through. This is the switchbacky part on the side of the cliff, so we'll just keep the camera rolling as we go through here. Oh, see, there's a Arctic fox on a truck up ahead of me, and he's not stopping for anything. So we might not see any Stone Mountain sheep along here. But I did see some back there. Oof, we had a rock fall hit the guardrail here. That's fun. Or snow, or an avalanche or something. Probably snow. No sheepies. Back truck had a Starlink just propped up in his windshield. I wouldn't do that. I like my Veritas Vans mount that I have for it now. Keeps it protected, still works really well. Well, no sheep along that part today. See if we see any as we keep driving through the end of the park here. No sheep, but we got the old Rocky Mountain Lodge here that hasn't been open in years. Don't count on the signs that say gas, lodging, and food available, because as far as I know, it's been a decade or more since that lodge has been open, at least. All right, so we have left Stone Mountain Provincial Park. So we're gonna drive through, I think, what is the equivalent of BLM land in Canada, just a lot of crown land. And then we'll get to Toad River, and then after Toad River is Muncho. It's another old roadhouse. It looks like a couple of those cabins are still kept up, but not the roadhouse part. There's not even signs for it anymore, so that may have been open at some point in the past 40 to 50 years, but no longer. Anyway, getting ready to get stuck. I pulled over to let all these trucks go by, but we're about to all catch up to this motorhome trailer, whatever that is, at the front of the line, and they're not getting out of the way. So that's fun for all of us. We got one-way traffic that was ninja'd right after a blind hill, which is just the best spot for them to have no warning for this one-way traffic. Hopefully the people that come up the blind hill behind the semi that's 2 cars behind me see it and are able to stop in time, because there was no warning coming over that hill that there was going to be a line of traffic stopped here. Let's see what they're doing to the bridge down here. Over the McDonald Creek River stream. It's McDonald something or other. See, there's that wiggly motorcycle sign. And it's true, like this bridge grading will jerk you around, so if you're riding a motorcycle, be careful. They're washing it, doing something to the bridge decking, getting all the rust off of it, I guess. All right, well, that was fun. Hey, he did get over. To go over the racing river. Sweet view of the mountains up there. About 5 minutes from Toad River. Down by the racing river. Oh yeah, this is a really nice camp spot in there. All right, 5 minutes. Interesting thing about Toad River here is you're like going through the wilderness, and then suddenly there's a couple of farms and ranches just out of the blue in this area. What a place to do that kind of work, eh? Here's some more ranch land. There's a lot of horses in the fields back yonder. There's just a couple in this one. Yeah. I've got some family members that are horse people. Wonder if they would be interested in trying to do that in this kind of place, where you're a 6-hour drive from anywhere. Welcome to Toad River. Hopefully we're gonna get in line to get gas. There's quite a few rigs down here. Stopped a little bit after Toad River to clean my headlights and my sensor emblem on the front for the cruise control. So now we're pushing on. It's starting to rain a little bit, so it looks like we're gonna get some slightly grumpy weather as we keep driving towards Muncho here. But it's just looking absolutely spectacular. Oh, what's this? This is it's a sheep. Hi, Mr. Sheep. Here he is. There's a semi coming up behind me, so can't really stop. Add one sheep to the list. Look at this view, guys. Saw this pull out with this sign just talking about flash floods with the alluvial fans. Like this one right here. Now is not the time to be hiking up into the canyons because it's stormy. So pretty. It's also chilly. We'll look down canyon. This is the direction we came from. Not gonna go down to the water because that's pretty steep. Get down there. Yeah. All right, let's mush on. Oh, there's you guys probably can't see it, but up where that big black spot is, there's a little waterfall. That's cool. Tiny little waterfall. Oh, there's one over here too. From the last of the snow melt up there. Probably looks pretty spectacular. You can see how wide the water can get, likely when the big melt is happening. I wouldn't want to be standing down here when there's all that water coming down the canyon there. Couldn't get the camera out fast enough, guys, but there was a moose right there. Bummer. Well, the other problem is it was right around a blind corner, so I'm gonna pull off in here for a sec and write down the moose in my little book, and then we'll keep going. There's Muncho, double G, which I'm not stopping at. Well, I don't know. I might turn around and it's like 2:30. I'm not really hungry. We'll skip double G this trip. try and stop there on the August trip. Look, a float plane. This is the Muncho airstrip right here. You can see here's the flag, or the windsock. Yeah, there's Muncho Lake, right there. We're just gonna mosey on down Muncho here and pass through the other side. See if you guys can see the color of the water. A little bit of a grumpy, overcast day. So, but it's looking pretty aqua at the moment. And also you guys can see how the road winds its way along the side here, which I've talked about in plenty of my Alaska highway videos. Zoomed the camera zoom out. Actually gonna stop right here for a minute. All right, we'll see if you guys can see the color of the water in the video. It's looking kind of turquoise. It should, I think, be the same color as Kenai Lake if the lighting is good. Yeah, not gonna go touch the water because it's no way to get down there and it's gonna be too cold. No one wants to go swimming this time of year. Here's the start of the path for the hiking trail of the old Alaska Highway. Gonna hike back down the way we came there, up and over and around the hills. Now I'm gonna zoom this back in. Yoink. There we go. So now you can get a better view at the windshield and I don't have to hold it up this far. Yeah, just gorgeous part of the Alaska Highway. Watch out for the line truck. That big old boom arm on the top. Alright, that's the fun part of driving alongside Muncho here. I about had a heart attack, couldn't find the camera. I had set it on the seat. I went back into the trailer to get something. Yeah, we are still driving alongside Muncho here. Got more cliff on one side, lake on the other. Here's the turn off to the other campground here at Muncho. If you're not gonna camp at Northern Rockies Lodge, which I wouldn't. But there's this McLeod campground right here. Well, it's on the other side of the lodge. I used to sing the praises of this lodge, and I used to like stopping here, but I have since learned some of the history of the operations of this place and the folks that own it, and the way they can treat people sometimes. So I choose not to patronize the Northern Rockies Lodge anymore. If you want to learn something, look up the plane crashed from this little dirt strip that they used to use right here. I don't know if they still do, but plane crashed basically right here. And just learning that, and yeah, the history behind that and what happened. It's kind of soured me on the Northern Rockies Lodge, and then learned some other things about the lodge, and especially how they treated somebody that was driving up the highway this year that had a mechanical issue. Just makes me not want to give them any of my business anymore. So, here is the McDonald campground and boat launch. Not going to drive down in there because I don't know if it'll fit a 30-foot trailer or not. That's pretty much the end of Muncho. The lake is still off to the left here, but we're not going to be right next to it anymore. And we're just going to be heading down into the canyon here. So we're going to be on the lookout for more bears. Always on the lookout for bears. And then wood bison. This is the area where the wood bison are, so we'll keep an eye out for them. Going over a narrow bridge over the Trout River. I think there's trout in the Trout River down there. I don't know. I don't have any fishing stuff, so we're not going to be finding out today. Oh, look, the road gets narrower. We have left the Provincial Park. So we are back into places where you can wild camp again. Currently, I am navigating towards Contact Creek, which is going to be my next fuel stop because I can't quite make it all the way to Watson Lake, I don't think. But I also don't know if I'm going all the way into Watson Lake tonight. I might stop a bit short of Watson Lake at one of the gravel pullouts that I stayed in last year. So we'll see. Alright, I'm going to be coming up on Liard River here in a minute. And I was thinking about stopping, but probably not on this trip. But I'll probably try and stop at the hot springs on my other trip in a couple months. Oh, there's a construction truck up there, so I'm gonna put the camera down. Alright, looks like once again the province is doing some maintenance on a bridge, the Liard River Bridge. No metal decking on this one because they paved over it a long time ago. You used to be able to see through the pavement where it had worn out, though. There's metal decking underneath this. Yeah, hard to say what they're doing. I don't see anybody doing anything right now. There's some regular old bridge maintenance, I suppose. So here's the turnoff to the hot springs, but like I said, I'm not going to stop here on this trip. Maybe on my way back up in August, or maybe even the winter trip if it's open in the winter time. I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not going to stop here today. Also, still no bison yet, although I've seen plenty of their leavings along the highway. I have never ever done one of these trips without seeing bison all over the road. Just depends on where they're at. Yeah, I haven't seen them yet. Also haven't seen any bears either, which is kind of a bummer because this section is where I've seen the most bears over the years. But no bears today. We found the beefalo. Buffalo. Saw this motorhome up here. Stopped. I was like, oh, they're looking at something. Look, you see the babies? There's some baby buffaloes. Baby wood bisons. All right, so we have seen them, and I caught them on camera. So we once again will not be making a trip up the Alaska Highway without seeing wood bison. All right, I see something. Is it a bear or a bison? It's just a bison. I was hoping for a bear. what he's doing here all by himself. It's a bear. Thought it was a rock for a minute. I don't know. I think that's still a black bear. Doesn't look hunchy. It just looks like a golden black bear to me. But somebody that knows more about bears will have to tell me. Also looks pretty small, so I don't think it's a grizz. Pretty sure that's just a golden phase black bear. Yeah, almost positive that's what it is. All right, he's going that way and I can't back up. What I am gonna do is pull into this pullout right here, which is where I was gonna go, because I need to use the trailer facilities, which is gonna be even more exciting because there's a bear right there. Fun times. Alright, we successfully avoided getting eaten by the bear. So we're back on the road. Keep your eye out for more bears. Alright, this is Coal River Services. I have stopped here before. I'm not going to stop here today. I have gotten gas and snacks and stuff here before. They have a hotel. I don't know if they have an RV park. Oh, it says they do. But like I said, I'm not stopping here today. Oh, that's rough. Ooh. There was a storage shed in the back. Looks like it collapsed on top of their camper. That sucks. Anyway, we got just under an hour to where I'm planning on getting fuel, which is Contact Creek. Okay, I think we got more buffaloes on the road up here. Not gonna stop, but I will stick you guys out the window here. See if that footage turned out because my window's kind of messy. Oh, they're walking out on the road. So I guess we are stopping. Got a buffalo jam. Look at the tiny, tiny buffalo babies. There are some tiny, tiny ones up here. Now the buffalo jam is out of the way. I guess they're not super tiny, but there are some young'uns. Some young'un buffaloes down there. Hope you guys can see that. I can't really see what the camera's pointed at. Look at the buffalo babies. Do some filming with my iPhone because I can do some better zooming. Yeah, there's one baby down there. A couple of these look like they're adolescents. There's another baby up here somewhere. I don't see where it got off to. Oh, there it is. Just some wood bison. Alright, hopefully that footage on the iPhone turned out. And we're on our way again. And I need to swap out the battery in the GoPro and put the microphone away to charge for a bit. So if we see anything more exciting, I don't think I'll stop to film any more bison. Those just happen to be like blocking the road for a minute. And then there was a couple of babies. So I don't think I'll stop to film any more bison, but I will try and grab the camera if I see like a moose or a caribou or bears. Alright fam, we got fresh batteries and everything, so we're back on the DJI again. No more bears so far. I've seen a lot of bison though. But here in a couple minutes we're going to be coming up on something interesting that happened a few years ago here on the Alaska Highway. There was a lake that was created from a beaver dam, and it's on the right side of the highway. And the beaver dam gave way, which then, you know, drained the lake down the stream that the beavers had dammed up. But when it did that, of course, the culvert under the Alaska Highway was not sufficient to drain that kind of water amount, so it ended up washing out the Alaska Highway. But fortunately for everybody, there was an old piece of the Alaska Highway actually that ran up next to the lake that they had bypassed who knows how many years ago in favor of going through this cut. So they were able to utilize that old piece of the Alaska Highway as a bypass because it did not wash out, from what I understand. Not sure if there was a bridge or a culvert or what, or if they had to put something in temporarily, but they were able to use this piece of the old Alaska Highway that just happened to bypass this ravine that the stream that was draining that beaver lake came out of. So very fortunate for everybody, for the province and for the travelers on the Alaska Highway, that all they had to do, I think, was grade that old piece of the roadbed, and they were able to open it up to alternating traffic so that you could bypass the big washout. So very fortunate that it just happened to happen right there. So we're going to be getting there in a minute, and I will see if there's anything to show you on the camera when we do. Speaking of pieces of the old Alaska Highway, and there's been quite a few in this section of the road. There's a piece of the highway. The highway used to go down there in that cut. I don't know if you guys can see it through the glare in my window or not, but it used to go down there. And then you can see all this on Google Maps, which is kind of fun. But it went down there and kind of curled around for a bit, and then came back up and crossed the highway. Let's see. So here's the old roadbed right here. So it came up there and then went that way and curved up and around, and then met up with the current roadbed right up about where that semi-truck is. Maybe a little bit further on, maybe where that truck and trailer are up there. Oh no, yeah, right here. So then the highway came back down and was right here, and you can see all this on Google Maps, so it's kind of interesting to look at where the road used to go and how they've straightened it over the years. Alright, we're getting close to the spot, so you can see up there with where all that gravel is, that's where the washout was, on that little hill up there. But right here to the right, almost where this truck and cargo trailer are, is where the beaver dam used to be, or where you could see the lake off to the right here. So I'm going to point you guys over to the right, and then you'll be able to see in a minute the ravine. But this is also where the old highway was right there. So the old lake was right there. See, there's still a little bit of a remnant of it. And then coming up right here is the old highway bed that they used as the bypass. And then the washout was actually right up here. So this whole section where these Jersey barriers are washed out as the water from that lake came down this ravine right here and just took out everything and headed that way. So you can kind of see the ravine got all washed out there just from the deluge of water that came from that old lake. And then you saw the old Alaska highway roadbed there, so they were able to reuse that, and then it met up again with the current highway just right here. So that was super fortunate that there was an old piece of the Alaska highway that they could just use as a temporary bypass for that washout. So unfortunately, there's a lot of big closed signs there now, so you can't use the old road anymore. But kind of cool. Like I said, you can see a lot of this on the Google Maps satellite view if you go look at it. This is the part of the highway that kind of is right at the northern tip of British Columbia. And so right along the British Columbia-Yukon border here, as the highway kind of does this, as it gets close to the border and then goes back, but it's very pronounced there. And in fact, I can see there's more old Alaska highway roadbed right over there that you guys can't see, but it's all through this area. You can see where the old highway was and how they've kind of straightened it and made it nicer over the years. So it's a fun activity if you're ever curious. All right, we're gonna be stopping at Contact Creek to get gas here in about 5 minutes. More old roadbed right there. But what I really got this out for, and I forgot I need to zoom you guys back in, is we're about to cross over into the Yukon for the first time on this trip. So the highway does dive in and out of the Yukon quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but multiple times as we go through here. I think I was pulled over for me, but that sign used to say "Welcome to Yukon" on it, but it's got so many stickers you can't see it anymore. Sorry, I was blinking my blinkers at that guy to say thanks for letting me by, even though I'm stopping up here in Contact Creek. But yep, so we're in the Yukon, but we're about to make this left-hand turn and go back into British Columbia again. And then we'll be in British Columbia for a while, then we'll be in the Yukon, then we'll be in British Columbia, and then eventually tomorrow sometime we'll be in the Yukon full-time. So yeah, kind of an interesting part. See, like right now we're back in British Columbia again, which is hilarious. Although I'm not sure which province is in charge of maintaining the highway in these sections. It could be British Columbia, it could be the Yukon, I actually don't know. All right, we got gas successfully, and gentleman was super nice. I pulled up and he walked right out and started filling me up. Just him and his wife that lived there. Yeah, what was interesting, I was chatting with the owner of Contact Creek there, and about how I don't think that I will ever make this long of a trip again with a half-ton and a 30-foot trailer. And then up rocks this other dude with a half-ton Silverado pickup and a Cherokee Wolf Pup that's longer than my trailer is, with no sway bar or weight distribution going on. And so I was like, whoa, at least I'm not that dude, because I would want to be trying that. Of course, it looked like he was pretty empty, so I don't know if he's transporting it or driving it up for a friend or what, but he didn't have anything in the bed of his truck, and he said the trailer was pretty much empty. So anyway, we are about 15 minutes away from where I'm thinking that I'm going to stay for the night. All right, fam, I've made an executive new plan decision. We're gonna skip the gravel lot and drive into Watson Lake, which is about another 40 minutes, because I would like to have some power tonight, even though my batteries are mostly recharged. But also I need to dump my black tank, and I want a shower, and I don't know how much fresh water I have. I only put 5 gallons in back in Dawson Creek because I wasn't sure how much water I had in there. And really all I was using it for was flushing the toilet and washing my hands. But I really would like to have a shower, and I don't know if I have enough water to take a shower. So I think we're gonna mush on into Watson Lake, which is about 37, 38, 40 minutes away, depending on how fast I go. And I'm gonna grab a site at the campground behind their service station. Also, 1968 Alaskan Sourdough and his wife are there, so I'll probably say hi to them. And yeah, I think that's the new plan. So I'll see you guys in Watson Lake. Alright guys, just stopped here at this rest stop about 10 minutes outside of town, and that's the 60th parallel visitors information. If you want to see that, check out my video from last year where I walked over and looked at all the signs. Right now, we're going to get back on the road because I'm anxious to get parked up for the day down there in Watson Lake. Here's a more official welcome to Yukon sign, even though we've been across the border for a minute. There's the Watson Lake Cemetery. We're going to start dropping down into town. Welcome to Watson Lake, gateway to the Yukon. Hey, it was incorporated in the early 80s. That's fun. This part of the Alaska Highway is kind of interesting because you kind of emerge out of the wildernessy area between Fort Nelson and here, which is very remote, very scenic, and then you kind of get into an area where you're like, okay, here's Watson Lake, and then you start running into more little places, especially once you start getting closer to Whitehorse. But then you get to Destruction Bay, and then basically after Haines Junction, then it just becomes just the middle of nowhere again until you get to Tok, basically. So you got like little pockets of civilization, and then in between is just miles and miles and miles of feeling like you're in the middle of nowhere, because you are. Anyway, coming up on the right will be the Signpost Forest. On the left is the Northern Lights Center, which I have been to exactly one time. It was a long time ago. I don't remember exactly if it was worth it or not. Here's the Signpost Forest. Maybe we'll come over and check that out tomorrow. But for now, I'm going to pull into tags and see about getting a campground site.